Welcome to Saddle Up Live, a transformative podcast tailored for women aged 40 and beyond, where courage, God's grace, and a touch of sass are the driving forces behind conquering life's challenges. Join me, Lisa Koski, as I take you on a captivating ride through the multifaceted aspects of womanhood in this vibrant stage of life, covering everything from my journey through breast cancer, the intricacies of marriage, and the joys of motherhood, to the exciting adventures of grandparenting. Together, we will uncover actionable strategies for personal and professional development, providing you with the tools and inspiration needed to blaze new trails and seize every opportunity that comes your way, no matter what your age or stage. Welcome, listeners. I am really excited, as always, to have you here today. I get to meet someone new. So we're going to meet Sonia Pietruszka. Did I say that right? I was practicing before she got on.
Pietruszka, yeah.
Pietruszka. I said it right 2 times before we got on, and then I just said it wrong. But welcome, Sonia. And here's the deal, listeners. Sonia's a coach. And she's certified in EFT, which is, I believe, emotional freedom technique. And all my listeners know how much I am into growing and changing. And it's whether you're going through something difficult, a lot of times that will bring about the need for a change. But I even think if you're not, it's good, if you're not going through a big life transition, there's lots of things that we hold on to. There's lots of women in this world who have anxiety and issues. And I can't believe I haven't learned about EFT before. So I'm really excited because I'm always looking for tools to help me. I've been doing some NLP. I do a lot of mindset work. So Sonia, this is the first time I've had someone on talking about this. And so listeners, we are going to get some really good tools to help us deal with, I think, our emotions a little bit better. But I'll let Sonia talk more about that. Before we delve in, I love to get to know my guests. And I don't know you, Sonia, so fill us in on what led you to do this work.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Lisa. This is so kind of you. And I'm really excited to be the one to be able to introduce you to EFT because it's an amazing tool. So I feel like emotional freedom techniques found me versus the other way around. And what I mean is when it came into my life, I was in a place where I just felt like I was drowning in my life. The timing coincides with COVID, but it was greatly due to a failing marriage, fast track to divorce. So over the 8-year period, it was really rocky the entire time. COVID happened and the stay-at-home orders were put in place. I was living in New York City at the time. And so it was a lot, the relationship was in flux, job uncertainty. I had a lease that was coming up in a couple of months. So I had to figure out, oh my gosh, where am I going to live? So all these stabilizing pillars up in the air at the same time. And I was looking at my email and I saw an email with the subject line, tapping for overwhelm. And maybe 1 or 2 years prior to that, I had an exposure, we'll say, to tapping EFT, but I wasn't ready for it because I was like, this is weird. I don't get it. What is this lady doing? But of course, fast forward in my time of desperation, I am ready to try anything. So I start to do these tap along videos. And I didn't have the language to articulate what exactly was happening, but I knew I felt different while I was doing the tapping. So that was enough to pique my interest, my curiosity to continue the practice. And then little by little, I started thinking like, wait a second, let me pump the brakes. Is this real? Is there science behind this? Is it, what's going on? So I spent a few days befriending Google Scholar, did a lot of reading, and I was really satisfied with my findings. And so after that, honestly, it was like the universe was saying, oh, okay, you're serious, you're interested, here you go. And things just fell into place. So I organically came across an intensive weekend training just for basic skills, which led me to a certification program, at which time I started working with my own coach, and my life did a 180. And it really, I have to say, it was my lifeline. It really felt like a life raft in terms of everything I was trying to navigate at that time. And so I'm so grateful and just delighted to be where I am now, having the skills and the knowledge to be able to pay it forward, in a manner of speaking. Because like you said earlier, Lisa, this is a tool that, yeah, it's great in times of high stress and life transition, but even just in every day, being able to have something fast, easy, and effective to regulate your emotions so that, you can just feel better in your body and going through life.
Yep. Okay. I love that. And things were popping into my head as you were introducing yourself. So it's so good to get to know you. And I want to let you know, I did know a lady years ago who talked about tapping, and she was the sweetest gal, and she couldn't fly. And she told me that she had done tapping techniques, and she kind of talked about it a little bit. I can't remember, but she would get on the plane and she would do it, and she was able to fly without medication. So I have a little bit of idea of it. And Sonia, I kind of feel like maybe some of my coaching has touched on it and
Oh,
not
cool.
talked about it. Like if you're getting into kind of feeling your body or holding your heart to kind of keep you stable when you're maybe hearing something that can trigger you. So I think this is just going to add to everybody's lives to hear about it. And then I can't help the Lisa who always wants to know, like, the science and grow from it. What is the science behind it, and is it kind of that where you tap to kind of get yourself in a better place? Is that what it is?
Sort of.
Okay.
Thank you for asking, though. I get super excited to explain it to people. So I'm glad that you're excited too. So the way that it works, and actually before I get into that, just mentioning how you're talking about, like if you hold your heart or whatever it is, just having that physical contact, that somatic experience. Yes, that's 100% part of it. So
I love it. I love it. I mean, and that's what I do in really difficult divorce mediations where one person's really freaking out. It's just like feel your fingers rubbing together. I have those little
Yes.
techniques. So, okay, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, for sure. It's about bringing your head and your body together, because otherwise we're just operating from in here, and that oftentimes helps us get into the issue, and we're trying to solve it from the same place, and that doesn't actually work. So with tapping, what we're doing is it's a combination of Eastern energy medicine, Chinese energy medicine, fused with aspects of Western therapy like talk therapy, CBT, and exposure therapy in some cases. And so in a tapping session, we'll just use a very Please, yes, go ahead.
I have a question. What is
I love
CBT?
It. Oh, cognitive behavioral therapy.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, please interrupt at any time. I love questions.
Good.
So our easy example will be, let's pretend you have a fear of spiders. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to have you do is think about this fear of spiders, because as contrary as it might seem, we want to activate that stress response in your body. And so in the brain, there's a small almond-shaped section called the amygdala, and this serves as our stress command center. And so whether or not a spider is really there, it doesn't know that. The brain doesn't know it's real. So immediately when it receives those chemical impulses that let it know that there's a spider, it starts to send the stress signals out to the body, release the hormones, get ready to fight or flight. And so we have our message number one coming into the brain of danger, right? There's a spider, be on alert. Then we start tapping on different acupressure points on the head and the upper torso. And this communicates with the brain and with the nervous system. And the nervous system is telling the brain, hey, actually, it's okay. It's okay. You're safe. Maybe there's a spider, but you're not going to die. And so this brings us message number two. So the brain has two messages at once that are not aligned. So in order to reconcile these conflicting messages, there's a new neural pathway, new wiring created for this second message of safety. And so the idea is, if we continue to tap on this fear of spiders and maybe anything else that comes up that's related, if we're thorough and successful with this quote unquote treatment, then that means that this new neural pathway will become stronger and more dominant and therefore override the previous pathway of fear or danger. Meaning that the next time you encounter a spider, you're not going to have that same like fear response, or it's not going to throw you off course like it may otherwise do. It will remain neutral and you can go about your day as if nothing even happened.
Okay, I love this, and I'm going to bring it into my life so that I can see if I've learned, and hopefully it'll help the listeners. Okay, I am terrified of getting my blood pressure taken. Stupid.
Okay.
I know it's stupid, and it goes way super high. Like now I take it at home and I go in and we giggle at like how good it is at home and how high it is when I go in. So at least we're getting there. There. But so if I can sit, so you sit and you think about going in to get your blood pressure taken at the clinic, at the hospital, wherever. Is this correct? So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking it and I'm starting to feel anxious about it. Is that what I was? Okay. So then that anxiety comes. And then I start, and there's probably certain points. I'm just like, okay, head.
Right. So do you want to go through this like together?
Sure.
Just a
I'd
demo?
love to.
Okay, cool. Okay, so so what? Okay, you said you're feeling anxious. Is there anything else coming up, or it's mostly anxiety that you're noticing?
It's tied with fear, like fear that there's something wrong with me.
Okay. Probably. Okay. So let me ask you this then. On a scale, I'm going to ask you. We're going to split this into two things. So. Focus on the fear first, right? So on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 is it doesn't bother, 10 is the worst thing ever. Between 0 and 10, in this moment, when you think about getting your blood pressure taken, how strong does the fear feel to you?
Between a 7 and an 8.
Okay, perfect. We can say 7.5 if you are okay with half numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, and then same question with the anxiety. 0 to 10, how intense does that feel if you tune into it now?
Okay, that's a little bit lower. Maybe I think it's more fear.
Okay, so perfect. I think so too.
Yep.
And Lisa, do you feel this anywhere in your body? Do you notice any sensations anywhere?
Right. I hear fear, just like kind of hot. Kind of fast.
Okay, so would you identify that as your solar plexus or stomach? What language would you use?
Well, I think solar plexus.
Okay, that's what I would say too. Okay, so are there any specific parts of this activity, of this experience of getting your blood pressure taken that really stand out in your mind when you think about it?
Okay, so ask the question, are there any like I have memories of when it first happened. And I know that I grew up and I watched my grandpa that I loved dearly die young of a stroke. And I know that there's a family history with high blood pressure. And I watched my other grandpa go through like the first open heart surgery, I think in the country. I mean, it was a long time ago.
Wow.
And so I think I just have always, if my listeners know, have had a fear, which has hit the wall lately and I've been healing from. a fear of death, right? And of being sick. And so I do remember being afraid kind of always of getting my blood pressure. But I remember one time in college, I went in and the nurse was like, that's terrible. And she like freaked out about it.
Okay.
And then ever since then, it's never been good. But I do
Okay.
may also have legit high blood pressure too.
Right.
I do. And I'm on medication for it. The good news is that I can take it at home. And so that helps us know really where it
Sure.
is. And I watch it, but I would really like to not feel, because I don't want to hate going, and I tell, like, you go to the dentist, they want to take your blood pressure. I'm like, you're not taking my blood pressure. I like to come in here, so you're not taking it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so let's, if you're open, we can
I
go
am.
through just one round of tapping together, and I'll kind of tell you the points as we go. That way, maybe it will save time, maybe not. We'll find out. So
Okay.
we'll start to tap on the side of the hand. So it doesn't matter which hand you use. You can switch midway if you want, but it's between the pinky and your wrist, just the fleshy part there. And it's like a call and repeat. So I'll say a phrase and I'll pause for you to repeat it. We'll do this 3 times before we move, okay?
Okay.
All right. So even though I feel this fear in my solar plexus,
Even though I feel this fear in my solar plexus
of having my blood pressure taken,
of having my blood pressure taken,
I choose to completely accept myself anyway.
I choose to completely accept myself anyway.
Okay. Does that feel okay to say?
Yep.
Okay, great. So we'll
It
do
feels
that.
really in line. Yeah, in line with me.
Excellent. Perfect. All right. So even though I feel this hot fear in my solar plexus,
Even though I feel this hot fear in my solar plexus,
thinking about having my blood pressure taken,
thinking about having my blood pressure taken,
I choose to acknowledge these feelings
I choose to acknowledge these feelings
and love and accept myself anyway.
and love and accept myself anyway.
Okay, excellent. One more time here. Even though I feel this fear,
Even though I feel this fear,
every time I think of taking my blood pressure,
every time I think of taking my blood pressure,
and I feel it as a hot sensation in my solar plexus,
and I feel it as a hot sensation in my solar plexus,
I'm choosing to deeply and completely
I'm choosing to deeply and completely
love, honor, and accept myself
love, honor, and accept myself
and all of my feelings,
and all of my feelings.
and know that I am safe.
I know that I am safe.
All right, so now we're going to move to the top of the head. So you can use one hand or two. I'll use one just so I'm not like covering up my whole face.
Okay.
All right, and so again, you'll repeat after me this fear in my solar plexus.
This fear in my solar plexus.
Okay, moving to the top of an eyebrow, so right where the hair meets, where your nose and bridge meet. Perfect. This fear in my body.
This fear in my body.
All right, moving to the side of the eye, right by the corner. All this fear in my solar plexus.
All this fear in my solar plexus.
Okay, I'm tapping just below the eye on your cheekbone there. This fear of having my blood pressure taken.
This fear of having my blood pressure taken.
And tapping just under the nose. This fear of being sick.
This fear of being sick.
Under the mouth, right in your chin crease. Up a little bit. There you go. And this fear of getting a bad reading.
This fear of getting a bad reading.
Okay, and then we'll tap just under your collarbones. So if you find like the knobby start, then we'll go out and down about 1/2 inch. And we'll just tap there. This one's really forgiving, so if you move around, that's okay. I'm acknowledging all this fear in my body now.
I'm acknowledging all this fear in my body now.
Okay, and the last one, I don't think you'll be able to see it on camera, so we may just skip the last one. It's under the arm, under your armpit. So it's about 4 inches under. So
Like here?
It's like here. Yep, perfect. Okay. All right, so I'm allowing all this stress.
I'm allowing all this stress
to start moving through me now.
To start moving through me now.
Okay, and then the last thing I want you to do is to tap the insides of your wrists together. Okay, and I choose to know that I am safe and healthy.
I choose to know that I am safe and healthy.
Okay, so I want you to go ahead and release your arms. If you feel like you need to take a wiggle, then go ahead and do that. And then when you're ready, take a nice easy breath. So breathing in through the nose and then blowing it out through your mouth like a straw. And then the next step is just to tune in and notice how you're feeling in your body, what thoughts are coming up. And depending on the issue, generally, I'm going to say usually, you need more than one round of tapping. However, I want to pause here and just see if there's anything that you notice or anything that you feel called to share.
Well, I feel like, Sonia, I feel like I just needed this one, but I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Okay.
And I feel like because of all the work that I've been doing, that I was very ready for it. And this is so weird, Sonia. The first one that you had me do already brought me a sense of calm. And then I had to keep kind of, so I kind of kept fighting to remember what that feels like. You know what I mean? When I'm nervous about it. And I believe everything you're saying is true. You know, the words that you're speaking, like I do accept that. I really do. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know. I'm curious. And so now the next time I go in and get my blood pressure taken, I'll have an idea. Right? I'll know. Or do I practice this a couple more times?
So it's honestly, it's kind of up to you. So depending on how you're feeling, right? So if right now, like you said, like you're feeling good about it, one, that's something to celebrate. Like make sure you give yourself a pat on the back for that, because that's huge. And then also just check in with yourself. So the next time that you know you have an appointment to go in and you know you're going to have your blood pressure taken, just checking in, like, how am I feeling about this? If you're feeling anxious, do some tapping. And I mean, honestly, like this is, you can take anywhere, right? If you don't feel particularly embarrassed, you can do it right there in the exam room. And, you know, it's just, it's free. Once you learn it, it's yours forever. So it's very powerful.
And I love that. It's kind of like you use a coach, you learn how to do it, you deal with your areas, and then you can you don't have to keep going back. It's not like you have to do a subscription and always keep coming back forever and ever. You learn it. And I love that. I love that piece of it. Now here's my question. So the tapping that you led me through, is that for any like unwanted feeling that I have, or were you focused in on where I feel it, what it's about? You know what I mean? Like, do you need an expert to help you figure that out, or is it always going to be the same? Like if I go, oh my gosh, I'm afraid to downhill ski and cross country skis. Oh man, that is scary. Like when you have to go downhill. Downhill skiing is fine, but cross country skis feel uncontrollable. So, like, if you don't want to get scared about that, can you do tapping about that?
Yeah,
and can I do it the same way?
Yes. So I'm glad that you asked that, because there's two main ways that we can use tapping, or that is generally used for. So one would be more along the lines of emotional first aid and self-soothing. So the kind of exactly like what we were doing, right? It's a smaller issue, and
Yes.
and you feel like, okay, I can do this on my own. Like I don't necessarily need someone to tell me where I'm feeling this, because I know, and you're the expert on you. Where you would want to get assistance from a practitioner is for the deeper issues, and this would be the second way that we use it, is for the deeper healing work when it comes to trauma, right? And that doesn't mean it
Okay.
has to be big T trauma. The truth is, as we go through life, adults going through life, we have a backpack. It's like a little trauma pack, and every time something happens, we put another thing, another brick in the bag. And so it may not be as individual components that you feel like, oh my gosh, like this is really weighing on me, but as a collection, it makes a difference. And so a lot of things are rooted back to childhood, in which case
That's
it is
it. Yeah.
very beneficial to have someone who knows how to navigate that and help you trace the thoughts that seem very random and bring them back to the
Mhm.
root cause. And the main thing that we do with EFT is we're working to get slowly and gently to the root issue, right? And so it may, these emotions that are kind of trapped in our body, they may have been there for a really long time, so there's a lot of things connected to them. And so I would just I guess caution trying to dig into this solo without having any sort of support or assistance, just because it brings up a lot, and if you get emotionally flooded, it can lead to shutdown, or kind of like an emotional or freeze, functional freeze, where you're really limited in how you're able to navigate the world and what you're able to experience. So having professional support to get through that. And then, like you said, once we work through that and you have the skills, you feel confident to do it on your own, then by all means do it on your own. And then if something comes up later on that you are feeling like, oh, I don't know what to do with
Mhm.
this, then come back, we'll work through it, and then you'll be on your way again.
Mhm. Okay, so I love what you're saying, and it leads me back to kind of understanding our core wounds. And I've
Mm-hmm.
been talking about that on this podcast that can really help you understand things. And I also want to say this was really extremely helpful for me, and this isn't the hardest thing I've ever gone through. Right? This
Yeah.
is one of those quirky little things that I think I have gotten to accept, like whatever, here's the crazy lady who's be prepared. I have to tell everyone it's going to be really bad, but it's not like going through a bad diagnosis or
Right.
a death of a loved one. And so in those moments, I don't think that it would have been as easy, even if I'm ready and open. That's the point where I think, and that's like a divorce or whatever is really,
Yeah.
or even if it does, if it's something, I mean, I think your kid going off to college could do it to you, whatever it
Absolutely.
is.
Yeah.
I don't want to minimize it because that blood pressure thing could be a big deal for someone. And I think years ago it would have been a bigger deal for me,
Mm-hmm.
as I mature, things change. But I wanted to do it because I always, so I can report back. And Sonia, I almost feel like I cannot believe the time has gone so fast. Like
I
we're
know.
almost to the end. And I
I
feel like
know.
there could be more. And I feel like I want to have you back on maybe in a month, because I think I am gonna, or maybe 2 months, because then I think I have a doctor's appointment and I
Hmm.
want to go see what happens. And
Yeah, I'm curious too.
I know. And so I want to have you back on to talk about that. But I just want to say, I so appreciate you coming on the podcast. And I know I threw it out at you and I said, yeah, I don't really like to talk before. I just like to get to know you on the podcast, because that's kind of what it's about.
Uh
But
huh.
I'm so appreciative to you, and all my guests are the most amazing people who have been through something difficult and learned how they're like overcomers, learned how to overcome it, and now you're sharing it with the world, and that's amazing. And I totally am in alignment with this EFT and how it's a tool that we can use to help us live better lives. And I think I'm a Christian God person, and I know that he is my first and foremost, and then he gives us these tools. He gives us certain medicines. I don't love medicine, but sometimes they're important, and he gives us tools. And so I'm so thankful that you took the time to be here.
You're welcome. I appreciate you having me on, and it was a lot of fun, and I would love to come back. That sounds amazing.
Yay!
So thank you so
I think
much.
I think we're gonna get it. I'll send you that link, and we'll get it scheduled like maybe beginning of March. So listeners,
Perfect.
she'll be back so we can talk. And then I want to delve a little bit more into how it works, maybe.
Sure.
And then maybe we can talk a little bit more about trauma, big traumas and how it works with that. So
sounds
to
great.
come in the future. All right, Sonia, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Lisa. It was great.
Thank you for tuning in to another empowering episode of Saddle Up Live. As we conclude this exhilarating journey together, don't forget to subscribe, share your thoughts, and become a valued member of our vibrant community. Because, as always, every woman deserves to thrive, flourish, and live her best life. Until the next time, saddle up and keep conquering those trails.